Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this?
You're now listening to a brand new episode of the Play Big Faster podcast.
Look what you done started.
Talk to him.
Attorney, high-performance coach, and speaker Cherie Prince asks hard questions to really get to the bottom of what makes entrepreneurs tick. From starting a business, marketing, strategies, and the ins and outs of their industries. We talk everything from book recommendations, lifestyle hacks, and everything possible to get you inspired and motivated to build your own business. The Play Big Faster podcast starts now.
Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. We are joined today by Jay Razuk. Jay, how are you doing?
I am wonderful, Sherry, and I'm really excited to be here with you this morning.
Listen, thank you so much for dropping in. I got so excited when I saw about all the great ways that you help coaches, consultants, and practitioners. And I really felt that it was a really good fit for you to come and kind of talk to our subscribers about what you do and the services that you offer. So look, I'm going to let you jump right in.
Well, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, this is where my heart is. I've like a lot of lawyers, started off working for a firm in a downtown area, sitting in that high tower, looking out and just feeling like, there's got to be more. And we really wanted to work with actual individuals with their businesses. And it's been such a blessing to especially work in the coaching industry. That's really where my heart is. And really helping people who help people. I may not be a healer. I may not be someone who, is great at marketing, but I can support people who are there, who are really helping change lives.
Now, when you say support them, because basically you help people that have online businesses, what about brick and mortar businesses?
The two are actually very different. So I really do thank you for the clarification. I really work especially with those who are in the online space. So people who are, producing content, making courses, having coaching programs, even consultants who have, standardized their methods. Those are people I especially like working with. And the biggest one would be like these physicians, nurses who are just burning out in the system, and they really want to have greater impact, get word out on some amazing things they've learned in their experience. And those are people also that I really love helping.
Now let's unpack that a little bit, because when you say that you help them, tell us exactly what you do for these people that have that are in the digital information space.
Have I not even mentioned yet I'm a lawyer? Boy. So I'm trying to be for the legal profession what a lot of the new generation medical professionals are, where they're focusing on, let's say, preventative medicine. So my goal is not just to make contracts that would win in court. I tell people my goal is to keep you out of court.
Awesome.
And, yeah, we're all about relationships, helping people to. As one of my clients put it, Jay, you're really trying to help me create relationships that I don't have to be afraid of. There's relationships that you're excited, your clients are excited. If things get a little tense, you know what to do because you have the contract in place that's a helpful guide that encourages you to resolve disputes rather than pitting each other against each other. And sadly, that's what the legal profession tends to do too often. I don't think lawyers are doing it intentionally, but our natural reaction is to, lawyer up, protect the client, do everything we can to make them deny liability, and it just destroys the relationship and pretty much forces the other side to sue. And I'm wanting to break that vicious cycle and restore the relationship, help everybody feel valued and appreciated, and recognize there is value in the relationship itself too.
Well, Jay, just like you, I'm an attorney by day, but there are so many stories that I hear from my clients about different situations. Tell us about some of the mistakes that you've counseled your clients on as relates to the work that you do for and how you help them.
The number one way I have found that I can help people is through templates. And you probably discovered this too, Sherry, right? You can Well, I have like three big legal mistakes I tell people about, and the second one is, well, the two and three are have to do with, the second mistake is you are um, using somebody else's template, and there's a lot of bad templates out there. You've probably discovered yourself, right? I mean, just they're out of date. They're not applicable. They're just horribly written, and maybe many of them have now gone through multiple generations of non-lawyers even tweaking them. And then the third mistake is people are using a lawyer who's not experienced in their space. And a good sign of a good lawyer is they're already at a point where they have templatized what they do. And what that means is you're getting a better quality product for less because they're not spending hours and hours figuring it out. You're not getting something that they've done for the first or second time. So it was a big eye opener for me. I didn't learn this from other lawyers necessarily. I mean, of course, the big firms, they always have the templates they draw on. And someone may have written it in an emergency many years ago. Nobody thought to question it since. But when it comes to, I think, you as a small business, you really want to seek out that lawyer who really knows your space, just time and time again, to serve people like you. And then they know, yeah, this is what you need. This is how it's going to work. Boom, here, and you get a product that's ready. So I wanted to do that for the coaching space and make the high-end contracts that will really take them from, 6 figures or starting off all the way to 7 figures, 8 figures. Because my background as a corporate lawyer was working with Fortune 100s. I know what it looks like on the other side, with these public companies and what they have to do to satisfy the law, to have good relationships, all these things. And I'm taking those principles, making them into templates that then any business can just implement and run with. And again, you've probably experienced this too, right, Sherry? Where you could spend days giving legal advice to people, and they'll just go over their heads. Nobody has time to sit through hours and hours and hours of courses. Podcasts are great, because you could get good nuggets a little bit at a time in a day. But the things we know that should be in a contract, there's no way that we can educate people on how to do it. So I love the template that you just, here it is, here's your framework for what you need for a successful relationship, for a successful business, for resolving disputes, for when this thing happens, you've hopefully already anticipated it, and the contract's there to be your guide. So, and then I put in my own flair with it. Again, emphasizing relationships. And sorry, I'm talking so much here, Sherry, but you know this too, right? I don't. You can make a contract that's so one-sided, so unfair that a court will actually blow it up or refuse to even enforce it. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. And so when you make that contract that's so much in your favor, and they never have any rights, that nothing can ever be an option for them. They're just going to lose. A court is going to potentially say, yeah, there's no way I'm going to conscionably enforce this agreement. And you've hurt yourself. You put your relationship on the line for nothing.
Well, and I love that you point that out, because a lot of times people will think that, oh, I'm going to have a contract that solely benefits me, and that's my highest and best protection. But what you've done also, I think you systemize this with your templates. You have a system called ProSCALE.
That's right. ProScale is my business, but I have the secure scale method, which is 5 principles that I have learned through the years working with the Fortune 100s. Just to simplify the process, in a sense, to really protect your business as you grow. And these will go with you as you're 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. They're there with you. And really quick, it's an acronym. It spells the word scale. So the S would be having the right structures in place. I mean, everybody knows, look at forming your LLC, forming a corporation. It could be having the right contracts in place. And it could also be looking at your intellectual property portfolio. Do you have copyrights that are really important? Do you need to register them? Do you have trademarks that are really important? Should you register those? Do you have trade secrets and you need to be protecting them with non-disclosure agreements? And I'm sure people are like, whoa, that's a lot at once. But right there, I mean, those are important things that every business, when they have important intellectual property, needs to be taking steps to protect, because at the end of the day, that's where most of the value of your business is that IP.
If I'm a brand new coach or consultant and I don't have any background at all, I don't have any relationships with an attorney, where would you recommend that I even start? Now, I know I'm going to call you to help me, but if I didn't know to call you, where would I start?
Oh boy, so that's a great question, right? Because the legal profession breaks up into, you have your civil attorneys, you have your criminal law attorneys, you have your business attorneys, but there's not necessarily like coaching attorneys or attorneys for consultants or um, so that makes it a little bit trickier, but you can find someone who is a business lawyer that or corporate lawyer. That is kind of where I would start. Business lawyers will probably be cheaper than corporate lawyers, and ideally look for in Google or some search engine. Also say coaching. There's a few lawyers out there now, but it's really tricky. You also need to find them in your state, and that's where it gets even harder. There's some states where have I've built a giant database. I'll just say that the easiest way is just contact me because I have a giant database I've been putting together to look for these people because it is harder than you think.
Now, and one thing as well, you actually have a community online where you actually give free information to people and offer services. Where can we find you at to get some of that information just to get started?
Great question. I do have right now it's on Facebook. Who knows if it'll be there another day? But you can always follow this link to www.proscalelegal.com/group, and it's full of amazing resources. People all the time, like just the other day, someone asked, I'm looking for help on IP and understand what I need to do to protect my content. I'm like, great, I already have the video, boom, tag them in it. So uh, we're happy to guide you to it. If we don't have content, we'll make the video for it. But we're pretty much at a point where we have what people are asking for. And we have a whole series even on, for example, business formation, where we take you step through step on figuring out, should you form an LLC? Which one should how should you be taxed? All these different things. Where should you form it? There's so much bad advice out there. You know that, right? So
Yes.
I try to help people cut through that and know just exactly what you can do. Um, Ideally, it's always good to work with a lawyer, right? But if you can't, at least this will give you some ideas of how to do it.
And really, it doesn't matter where someone is geographically. You can actually help anyone internationally, correct?
I do at times, for example, if people are international and wanting to do business in the U.S., I like giving them tips, showing them how to do it. Or people who are in the US going international. I have a whole video even on that because that really is the world we're living in nowadays where people are working across states, we're working across international boundaries. And that is bringing a whole new level of complexity that even most lawyers aren't set up to deal with because, they just do contracts in their state and aren't necessarily thinking big picture, multiple states. So that's another thing that I'm blessed to have the background I do, work with Fortune 500s in like 20 different states, working all over. It really gave me a more multi-state perspective. And now we need to have that international perspective as well often.
Now, Jay, I feel like you're holding something back from us because I happen to know that you have a turnkey framework that you also use. Proact. Tell us about Proact.
So ProAct is my reinterpretation, my reinvention of the contract. And what most of us attorneys are just trained to write a contract or hold up in court, and that's as far as they go. But really, we need to think more strategically. We need the contract for business owners needs to be something that will be pro-profit, that is going to help the business actually make money. It will make it so that clients won't be unnecessarily hesitant to sign up. If a contract looks like it was from the 12th century with these terms we don't use anymore and crazy fonts, and you're scaring away people, there's no point in doing that. The contract needs to also be, as we talked about, pro relationship. We need to value that, encourage that, not be so one lopsided, not put someone in the corner and force the next lawsuit. So pro profit, pro relationship. And then we also think we need to be thinking in terms of automation. I'm shocked still how many people are doing contracts like, again, it's the 12th century, and let's handwrite this. We have so many new technologies and websites. Like, so many of my clients to say are web based. Do what the big companies do, where you can build your contracts into your website. And so you can have a seamless process where a client goes from signing up to accepting and agreeing to your terms to paying you money in one smooth process. So all these things to me go into the ideal contract. And I don't even like that word con, right? Contract. So the pro act is going to be proactive, pro profit, pro relationships, and making life easier for the client.
Now, what I really want to know is, because I know you just didn't wake up, at 5 or 6 and say, I want to be an attorney. How did you get to this point from working with large businesses and Fortune 100s? What was it that made you actually want to be an attorney and to do this type of work?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I grew up in a culture environment where everybody was a doctor or expected to be a doctor, and there was a ton of pressure to do it. But I just had these, every time I took something law related in school, I just lit up. And I liked I like how law is an integration of creativity and technical. And it's fun to be able to employ the two and to understand the importance of words. I I don't know. Like, sometimes just working on contracts and should I use this word or this word, and just see how much just that one word or one comma changes everything. And we always joke about that, right? People talk about, oh, only lawyers would care about that. But yeah, cases have turned on where that comma was located, and it's fun um, to me to be a part of that and see that, and to now see myself as an architect of relationships or a doctor of relationships, to help people know how to do business better, how to elevate their brands. Uh, I give you another example. Do you do trademarks?
I do.
Okay, so you know this, right? Where trademark law is amazing, where it helps people to um, think about branding better. Especially in the coaching space, there's a big temptation to come up with a very generic name, like awesome coaching program to make millions of dollars. Just make it up, right? But something like that. Um, and trademark law is going to say, oh, that's so generic. That's just so descriptive. You're not going to be able to be entitled to protection for that, or very minimal protection. So then when I work with clients to say, okay, let's get more creative. What are words? What's imagery that really connects with you? Um, and then we dig deeper, and then we come up with a new brand that is very distinctive. There's nobody else using these words, and yet it conveys like so much energy and tells a story about them. Like, that's exciting. And this is where law now is really helping people up level. And this, maybe we could go into like the number one mistake that I think most people make, and maybe you'll agree with this too. The number one legal mistake is people wait too long to get legal, too long to start doing their legal stuff.
Oh my gosh, you nailed it. They wait too long. So I mean, what do you do when somebody has waited too long and the rights they thought they had, they really do not have?
I usually have to first say, I'm sorry, this is going to cost a lot of money. It really costs 10 times more in my experience, or could exceed that, to clean up the mess than it was to have just prevented it in the first place. And that's why I'm so passionate now about the prevention. I would love to put all litigators out of business. I used to be one, and let's put them out of business. And to do that, I think we have to first identify what's the problem. Why is it that we are delaying? And that's something I really been thinking on so much past couple of years. Why do people put off doing legal? And I've identified 5 things.
Please share.
So first one is we tend to think we can't afford it, or we think we don't need it, It's 5 false beliefs. So I can't afford it. I don't need it yet. I don't have time. That's number 3. It makes things worse. And then number 5, it's inconsistent with who I am. And I think that last one is a big one. It's inconsistent with who I am.
Well, even the first one, when you're in business, a lot of business owners are always thinking about the rate of return
Mhm.
they're going to get for their business, but nobody looks at the cost of inaction. So when you wait too long, what does waiting too long actually cost you? And like you said, it could be 10 times more had you just, been a little swifter to that result and working with someone like you.
Yeah, and attorneys are raising their rates, roughly, between 3 and 7% every year. So also, if you're kicking the can down the road, your attorney is going to get more expensive uh,
Exactly.
after that. So that's yeah, it's going to get more expensive. So don't delay. It really is an investment, as you said, that can have huge payoff. Like if you're a coach, and you have let's say a $10,000 program, one refund is going to cost you $10,000. But if you spend, $1,000, $2,000 to get a decent contract in place, you could have saved that 10.
So do you have a standard set of clauses, or how do you work with these different types of individuals? Because I know that a coach may be different than a consultant and different than a nurse. What is your approach as you reach each different segment of the marketplace?
So that's where I focus, especially on those who have like a standardized program, a standard template, a standard course. That's kind of the nexus where the person I help is going to really benefit. Um, I I have a client agreement, let's say, which is designed to handle both one-on-one work and the program. But so much of what I do is focusing on being online, having content to protect. That, yeah, if someone doesn't have that, yeah, go work with someone else. Use someone else's templates. I'm fine with that.
Gotcha. Now, and you mentioned that you grew up in a place where a lot of people had a medical background, but actually, where did you grow up at? What part of the country did you grow up in?
So I grew up in, and I'm still living in, the only blue zone. That's a term from the National Geographic referring to places in the world where people live longer than anybody else. And so for me, I live in Loma Linda, California, and that's where I grew up.
Well, great. And listen, California
Yeah.
law is a little different than the rest of the world. I would say you in Louisiana, you guys have some different things going on sometimes, more so Louisiana, but yeah,
Oh, Louisiana is very unique too.
yeah, definitely. So if you were talking to someone who had not yet made the decision to become a coach, what
Mhm.
advice would you give them about working with someone like you in their coaching business?
If you are able to make that investment, it's going to have big payoff. It's definitely worth it to work with a lawyer who can get you going, ideally from the beginning, with everything in place. And here's the thing: it's not just about protecting yourself. Like that of course is important, but I think it also gives you a huge jump start. Like when clients get the templates I have and implement them, they immediately feel like they have a major level up in their brand. People look at that and like, wow, that's a really legit looking contract. Like you really, are established business. People judge you by your contract. That's like the first look under the hood, kind of. So it's huge in that sense. That gives you then a lot of confidence to really move forward with your business. I know a lot of people really, I think the fear of legal, of fear of getting sued, feeling exposed and vulnerable holds them back. They might not even be launching the program because they don't have the legal in place. They don't know what to do. And I just love, equipping them with the contracts, and immediately they're like, yes, I could go and now sign up people. Like that makes my day. That's what I live for. And so it's really worth it. Um, I mean, just talk about ways that business can level you up. Uh, there's like 5 ways I've identified so far that it can do that. Number one, as we talked about, right, it can level up your brand. It can help you uh, build better relationships. We covered that one. It helps you scale your business. I just yesterday in my group, or no, 2 days ago, I interviewed someone who's sort of like a fractional chief operating officer, and she was talking about to weather the storm of of a recession, to really grow your business, you have to start standardizing your practices. So you have like policies and procedures, things like that. You put them in place, and that lets you scale. That helps you offload what you do, helps you train new employees. And the law loves that sort of thing as well, and sometimes requires these policies. For example, like privacy, you need to have a policy in place on how you're going to handle your customers' personal information. And it's nice. Now you got the policy, you know what to do when you have it, when you have people's information. The fourth thing that law can do to help you is it helps you guide you during difficult times. And I
Yes.
sort of just mentioned this. Something happens, like, what do I do? Look at the policy. Look
What
at
is
the contract.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the fifth thing, everybody knows this one, it protects your legacy.
It does. And one thing I want to point out, even if someone works with you and they get your templates, it's not one and done. You're actually available for ongoing support, correct?
Oh yeah. I mean, we tell everybody when they purchase our templates, we're like, welcome to the family.
Yeah.
We really get personally invested in all of our clients. Like they're all doing amazing things, as I mentioned. So we support them. That's our mission, and we're committed to them. I say we go beyond what we promised because we love them.
Gotcha. Well, Jay, look, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share with someone who could possibly use your services that will help them in their business?
I think the most important thing I could do is help you not hesitate to take action to get your legal house in order. And I think the most important thing there is what's holding you back. And I think you might feel like getting legal is not in alignment with who you are. And that's not true. Now, most ways people approach legal is probably inconsistent with who you are. And you're right to not like it. But as I've been hopefully showing to you, like there's a way you can do your contracts. There's a way you can structure your relationships and run your business that is consistent with who you are. And in fact, that's really what the law wants you to do. I believe the whole objective, the whole point of the law and what it's trying to get us to do is to actually love each other. You know, all the law, we have millions of laws, but they all boil down to don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill. And that's just how we better love each other. If you're loving people, you're above the law, and you're going to have better relationships. You're not going to be sued. When I see people go and talk to a lawyer, it's because they feel like they were disrespected, that they weren't loved, or that there was a breach of trust. And so be that good person you want to be, and that really will protect you.
Yes, do that, and also call Jay. So,
I'll show you how to do it.
Jay, thank you so much. And listen, anytime you have more to share with our audience, we'd love to have you back.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry. And yeah, I hope we can connect more too. I'd love to see how other ways we can collaborate.
All right. Well, till next time, this has been another episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. Thank you.
Do you want to start your own business? Confused about where to begin? Not sure if you can do this? I'm glad you made your way here. Cut through the confusion. I invite you to join in on the 5-day Play Big Faster Challenge. You'll get step-by-step guidance on how to start and scale your dream business faster. 5 days perfectly structured. Build the business you've always dreamed of without spending tons of money and hiring consultants or a lot of staff. Join the challenge today at www.playbigfaster.com.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Play Big Faster podcast. Want more entrepreneurial content?
I like this.
Make sure to subscribe for future episodes.
Already subscribed.
I just clicked on it.
Don't forget to like and leave a review. Share with a friend that needs this in their life.
I think you need this more than I.
Oh, and make sure to follow Cherie on IG at Cherie Speaks. And remember to play big faster.